What if I told you one casual comment from a royal could shake the entire monarchy and drag Meghan Markle into a storm the world wasn't ready for? This isn't gossip, it's a palace crisis, and it all started with Sarah Ferguson saying just 4 words. Andrew has always held a special place in my heart. I truly believe he's an extraordinary person, and I know Diana would beam with pride at her grandchildren. Honestly, if she were here, we'd probably have a little granny race. She'd probably win, no contest. But then Sarah Ferguson, Fergie herself, spoke, and the royal world froze. This wasn't casual gossip. One comment from her unleashed chaos across Buckingham Palace left Prince Harry blindsided and pulled Meghan Markle into a storm of speculation that the monarchy hadn't seen in years. What happened behind those palace doors? It's the kind of story that makes you stop and question everything. It started innocently enough. Fergie, with her usual confident, almost mischievous smile, was chatting casually at what seemed like just another social gathering. The room was full of reporters and aristocrats, glasses clinking, polite laughter filling the air. No one expected anything monumental to come out of the conversation. Fergie had a reputation for off-the-cuff remarks that made headlines, but usually they were harmless, more entertaining than earth-shattering. Then, almost casually, she dropped the line that would change everything. She hinted that Meghan had been Andrew's first client. The words were light, almost playful, but the implication hit like a thunderbolt. In a split second, the room went silent, then buzzed with whispered speculation. Reporters' pens moved frantically across notebooks. Phones were pulled out. Social media feeds, already active, suddenly erupted. Within hours, Meghan's yacht days was trending everywhere. Every platform, every thread, every gossip chat was ablaze with questions, theories, and debates. It wasn't just the phrase itself, it was the timing. Prince Andrew, already one of the most controversial figures in recent royal history, had been keeping a low profile, hoping the scandals of his past would fade quietly. Linking Meghan to him, even obliquely, wasn't just gossip, it was explosive. Suddenly, Meghan, who had carefully crafted a public image as a modern, independent duchess, was tied to one of the monarchy's darkest and most uncomfortable stories. The speculation began immediately. Who had she met? When did it happen? Was it a fleeting encounter, a brief introduction, or something more substantial? Insiders and royal watchers alike began digging into every aspect of Meghan's past. Her early Hollywood years, her time on Deal or No Deal, her modeling, her charity work. Everything was scrutinized for connections that might lend weight to Fergie's words. Every appearance, every social gathering, every photo from years ago was examined with renewed intensity. The rumor mill didn't just stop at Meghan. Social media users began connecting dots between Andrew's notorious yacht parties and Meghan's rise in Hollywood society. Some suggested she had moved within the same elite circles as people tied to Andrew's controversial past. Photos, casual sightings, old party invitations, all resurfaced and were dissected for clues. The palace, which had long relied on discretion and silence to protect its members, suddenly found itself on the defensive. Inside Buckingham Palace, aides scrambled. Phones were ringing off the hook. Senior staff raced from one urgent meeting to the next, trying to figure out how to contain a story that had already escaped their control. The golden rule of royal communications, never explain, never defend, was suddenly under immense pressure. Damage control strategies were hastily drafted, but the internet, once ignited, could not be doused with a press release. Meanwhile, the public was captivated. Every headline, every article, every tweet amplified the story. Commentators debated Fergie's intentions. Was she merely joking, stirring conversation in her cheeky, unpredictable way? Or was it a calculated move, a deliberate ploy to manipulate public perception, to create chaos within the royal family? Some even speculated that Fergie might have been using Meghan's name to distract from Andrew's own scandals, a kind of strategic misdirection that only someone familiar with royal politics could pull off. By nightfall, the phrase Andrew's first client had become a cultural touchstone for the day. People argued, laughed, and theorized. Journalists were drafting stories, social media users were spreading memes, and royal insiders were holding their breath. For Meghan and Harry, it was a crisis. Her silence in the face of Fergie's claim was both a protective shield and a magnet for further speculation. For Fergie, it was another masterful demonstration of how one casual remark, delivered with confidence and timing, could reshape the royal narrative entirely. What began as a simple conversation had erupted into a global phenomenon. demonstrating the unique power of words within the royal world. One offhand comment, one fleeting hint, had turned a quiet evening into a headline-making storm, leaving everyone, royals and public alike, scrambling to make sense of the implications. Insiders were quick to speculate. Some claimed Meghan had once been part of the glamorous, party-filled world of yachts, mingling with the wealthy and powerful. True or not, the rumor wasn't just another royal headline. It was explosive, threatening to stir up old wounds the monarchy had long tried to bury. And some wondered, did Fergie let it slip by accident, or did she drop that bomb intentionally? Either way, the timing was brutal. Behind the polished smiles of charity events and formal gatherings, whispers spread quickly. Some staff had already heard Fergie's words before the public caught on. At first, they dismissed it. After all, Fergie had made headlines before. But this felt different. This time, it seemed like she knew exactly what kind of fire she was lighting. Picture a private event in Mayfair. Aristocrats and reporters mingle over drinks. Out of nowhere, Fergie makes a comment that silences the room. She hints that people are forgetting something crucial. Meghan's first royal connection wasn't Harry. Laughter breaks out at first. It sounded like her cheeky humor, but then she adds a line that makes everyone's jaw drop. She joked that Andrew could claim he knew Meghan long before Harry did, and not in a royal sense. The remark spread faster than champagne at a palace party. Within hours, gossip threads and social media exploded with Andrew's first client. Harry reportedly struggled to believe it. He'd heard rumors before, but this one came straight from inside the royal circle itself, and it didn't stop there. Meghan and Harry's behavior, particularly around their child, seemed to raise more questions than answers. In the royal family, legitimacy matters. Procedures are in place to ensure a child's place in the lineage is beyond doubt. Yet their actions sparked curiosity, feeding the gossip fire. By midnight, royal reporters were digging into Meghan's Hollywood past, linking it to Andrew's old yacht parties, events long cloaked in intrigue and scandal. What could have been dismissed as idle gossip had transformed into a full-blown royal crisis, one that would be talked about for weeks, if not years. The palace PR team went into full panic mode. Quiet, no-comment statements were hastily released, but the press was already sharpening their headlines. Then another bombshell surfaced. An insider brought up a woman named Karina Shulio, reportedly connected to Jeffrey Epstein. The claim suggested that Karina often traveled with Epstein, and somehow Meghan might have been in that orbit too. Even behind those gilded palace doors, the shockwaves were undeniable. No one spoke it aloud, but everyone was asking the same question. Was Fergie revealing a truth the royals had tried to bury, or was this just a calculated move for revenge? If it was revenge, it was only beginning. Long before royal titles, red carpets, or the Montecito mansion, Meghan was carving her way through Hollywood. Survival there demanded brains, ambition, and the ability to constantly reinvent yourself. From small TV roles to charity galas and red carpet appearances, she kept her smile polished and her moves strategic. But beneath that image was a young woman fiercely determined to succeed in a city where dreams could vanish overnight. Those who knew her remember how she could instantly charm a room, making sure everyone knew her name. She moved effortlessly among business elites, celebrities, and even some who brushed shoulders with royalty. And that's when the darker whispers resurfaced. Rumors that Meghan once mingled in high-end, controversial social circles in Hollywood. Insiders claimed she had been part of the exclusive Soho House scene, rubbing shoulders with powerful figures like Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein. She wasn't just attending parties. She was navigating a world where every connection counted, where every introduction could be a step up. These weren't ordinary gatherings. These elite yacht parties were hubs of influence. Deals were struck, alliances formed, and reputations could shift overnight. They weren't the wild tabloids made them out to be, but they weren't innocent either. Hidden beneath the glamour were whispers, favors, and unspoken debts that bound people together in ways most of us couldn't imagine. Rumors suggested Meghan had attended some of these yacht gatherings while building her career, trying to position herself among the elite. Proof was scarce, mostly scattered sightings, a few photos, and stories that resurfaced years later. But that very mystery made Fergie's comment land like a thunderclap. By linking Meghan's so-called yacht days to Prince Andrew, Fergie didn't just spread gossip. She reshaped public perception. This wasn't just a slip of the tongue. It was a calculated move. Fergie has built her life walking the razor's edge between scandal and sympathy. By tying Meghan's name to Andrew's mess, she didn't just revive old gossip. She rewrote the entire royal narrative. Suddenly, Meghan's silence looked suspicious, and the world was watching. Harry's frustration was understandable, and everyone waited for the next move. But with Fergie, there's always a reason behind every revelation, every casual comment. To understand this one, you need to look at her long, complicated history with the royal family. Fergie has been exiled, forgiven, and reinvented more times than anyone else in the palace. She's weathered scandals, from toe-sucking controversies to financial disasters and public apologies, and always found a way back in. Always polite, always smiling, but quietly calculating. So why bring up Meghan now? Some believe it was strategic, maybe even at the request of the royals, to quietly undermine Meghan and remind the public of how she first entered Harry's life. Others think it's pure revenge, a way for Fergie to strike back at the same family that once treated her like an outsider, while welcoming Meghan with open arms. Some see it as her taking control of her own narrative, reclaiming the spotlight after years of being sidelined. Fergie knows the media game better than anyone, and she understands that timing is everything. Meanwhile, Meghan and Harry's ventures haven't exactly gone as planned. From misfires in podcasts and partnerships to limited successes, like their Netflix deal, their public image has faced challenges. Critics argue that much of what they offer the American audience is drama about the British royal family, which can only carry so far. And with the high costs of security, mortgages, and living expenses, some insiders warn that their finances could face real pressure in the coming years. But whether it's revenge, strategy, or just keeping herself relevant, Fergie's timing was perfect. She knows how to stir the pot, redirect attention, and make sure that everyone, palace insiders, the press, and the public, is watching. Hello, Stuart. Fergie has survived decades of embarrassment by mastering what many now call controlled truth-telling, revealing just enough to keep the tabloids interested without ever losing her place in the story. And this might be her boldest move yet. With a single sentence, she redirected global attention, reopened old royal wounds, and put herself back in the headlines she once owned. Whether it was strategy or desperation, Fergie proved once again that she knows how to keep everyone talking. But the real question is, what did she hope to gain? The morning after her comment went public, Buckingham Palace went into full crisis mode. No statements, no press conferences, just silence, the kind that screams chaos behind the scenes. Inside, aides rushed between meetings. Phones buzzed nonstop. Senior staff panicked, trying to contain a story that had already spiraled out of control. Every branch of the royal family was under pressure, and no one dared make the first move. Meanwhile, rumors began swirling online. People dug into Meghan's early TV days, pointing out her work as a briefcase model on Deal or No Deal, her modeling claims, and her early appearances in suits. Some even suggested she made serious money not from acting, but from alleged high-end yacht trips, rumors that tied back to the elite social circles she once moved in. Around the same time, Meghan released a podcast where she spoke candidly about leaving the show that had been her first major TV gig. She explained how she felt objectified and sidelined. "I ended up quitting the show," she said. "I was so much more than what I was being reduced to. I didn't like feeling forced to focus on looks over substance." On the podcast, she detailed the behind-the-scenes pressure: stations for lashes, hair extensions and bra padding, cookie-cutter rules for appearances, skimpy outfits, and expectations to show skin. The environment, she said, was all about image, not talent. Harry, according to insiders, was furious but felt trapped. Publicly responding would only worsen the situation. Meghan pulled away from cameras, postponing appearances while her team quietly explored legal options. Online, critics celebrated, but behind the scenes, the couple faced intense pressure. This wasn't just another accusation. It came from Fergie, family, not an anonymous source. At the palace, senior royals pretended to stay neutral but followed every headline. Communications teams scrambled to shift focus back to royal events and charities, but the scandal refused to fade. Andrew's first client kept appearing everywhere, like smoke that wouldn't clear. Then whispers grew. Harry might have already known Meghan had once been on Jeffrey Epstein's yacht with Andrew. Behind palace walls, tensions simmered. Some saw Fergie as a betrayer. Others wondered if she had been set up. But everyone shared the same fear. Another royal scandal, this time involving Meghan, could reopen the wounds left by Andrew's downfall. The monarchy has always thrived on control, but this time, control was slipping fast. I tend to focus on people who don't want their stories told, those whose lives are shrouded in mystery, who have climbed the ladder of fame and power but want to keep their secrets hidden. And I love uncovering exactly what they don't want us to know. A few years ago, I wrote a book about Prince Charles, exploring how he rehabilitated his image after Diana's death and how Camilla had to do the same. It became a #1 hit, not just because of the man himself, but because it delved into money, mistakes, kindness, and scandal, all at once. So when Meghan entered the scene, I was fascinated. How would her story unfold? But talking to her circle wasn't easy. She reportedly warned friends not to speak to me, making her silence even louder than any public statement. By dawn, the royal machine was in full crisis mode. Aides rushed through hallways, tense faces clutching urgent folders while pretending everything was fine. The palace's golden rule, never explain, never complain, suddenly felt fragile. Fergie's words had landed like a bomb, putting the royal family's reputation under siege once again. Inside those offices, damage control ran like a military operation. Advisors crafted careful, no-comment statements, while senior royals debated whether to publicly distance themselves or wait for the chaos to die down. But this time, it wasn't just about appearances. It was about trust. Insiders whispered that Fergie knew far more than she should, including secrets Meghan would rather remain buried. Rumors suggested Meghan might have originally had her sights on Andrew before meeting Harry, and that Fergie herself had intervened. The betrayal stung because it didn't come from an outsider. It came from someone inside the family. Harry, according to whispers, was torn, unsure whether to confront Fergie directly or let lawyers handle it. Meghan stayed quiet and out of sight, which only fueled the speculation. Even palace staff felt the tension. Doors closed faster, voices dropped lower, and every smile felt rehearsed. One wrong word could become tomorrow's headline. Meanwhile, aides tried to shift focus back to public events and charity work, but the public wasn't buying it. The story had teeth now. Every appearance felt heavy with unspoken questions. Behind the polished smiles, the royals were holding their breath, hoping the scandal would fade like the ones before. But this time it felt different. The threat wasn't coming from outsiders, it was coming from within their own family. As the dust begins to settle, if it ever truly does, one thing is clear. This story has changed the royal landscape forever. What started as a casual remark from Sarah Ferguson has spiraled into a full-blown crisis of loyalty, reputation, and power. Some royal watchers warn that if a photo ever surfaced showing Meghan and Andrew together years ago, it could be catastrophic. For now, Meghan's silence hangs over everything like a storm cloud. Harry's trust feels shaken, and the royal family is once again haunted by ghosts they thought were buried for good. Maybe that's just how this family operates. Every time they try to control the narrative, another secret slips through the cracks. The real question now isn't whether Fergie went too far, it's what else she might still be hiding. Because if this is what she says out loud, imagine what whispers echo behind palace walls. The story isn't over. And if you want more insider royal drama like this, stay tuned, because the next revelation could be even bigger.